The North is cold and full of whispers.
Before we dive in, check the link in the description if you want exclusive timelines, members-only videos you won't find on YouTube, all on our Patreon. The letter arrived at Starfall 3 days after Ned Stark returned Dawn to House Dayne. The maester who delivered it wore no house colors, carried no sigil, left before dawn without speaking to anyone but Ashara Dayne. She read it twice by candlelight, hands shaking so hard the parchment tore at the edges. 4 words in her brother's handwriting. I live. Say nothing. Arthur Dayne had died at the Tower of Joy. Every song, every story, every whispered rumor across Westeros confirmed it. The sword of the Mourning fell defending Lyanna Stark alongside his sworn brothers, cut down by Eddard Stark and Howland Reed in the final moments of Robert's rebellion. Ned carried Dawn back to Starfall himself, placed it in Ashara's hands, told her Arthur died with honor. The funeral was held, the songs were sung, the greatest knight in the 7 kingdoms was gone. Except he wasn't. Ashara burned the letter, walked to the sea tower where Oberyn Martell had been staying for the past week. She found him on the balcony overlooking the summer sea, cup of Dornish red in hand, poisoned dagger on the table beside him. He came to Starfall asking questions about the Tower of Joy, about Lyanna Stark, about what Ned Stark really found in that desert tower where Rhaegar Targaryen kept the woman he stole from Robert Baratheon. Ashara told him nothing, but now she opened the door. My brother wants to meet you. Oberyn turned. He was 25 years old, lean, dark-eyed, with the controlled fury of a man who spent 2 years trying to find someone to kill for what was done to his sister. Your brother is dead. No, Ashara said. He isn't. They met in a courtyard buried in the heart of Starfall's oldest wing, a place where stones were thick enough to swallow sound, and the entrance was hidden behind a tapestry that hadn't moved in 50 years. Ned Stark arrived first, alone, without guards or banners. He looked like he aged a decade in the 3 days since he left Starfall. Eyes hollow, hands scarred. He carried no sword. When Oberyn entered the courtyard, Ned didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there like a man waiting for execution. Then Arthur Dayne stepped out of the shadows. He wore no armor. His white cloak was gone. The wound Howland Reed gave him at the Tower of Joy left a scar across his ribs, visible through his torn shirt. He was thinner than the songs described, harder, with eyes that had seen too much death. But it was him, the Sword of the Mourning, alive. Oberyn's hand went to his dagger. You're dead. I heard the songs. Ned Stark killed you. Ned Stark saved me, Arthur said quietly. Howland Reed put a blade through my side. I was dying. Ned stopped him from finishing it, had his maester stitch the wound. Then we told everyone I was dead. Why? Oberyn's voice was flat, dangerous. Why would the man who fought for Robert Baratheon save a Kingsguard who served the Mad King? Because of who we found. Oberyn looked between them. Lyanna Stark. Everyone knows Rhaegar kept her there. That's why Robert started the war. She wasn't kept, Arthur said. She was protected. Rhaegar didn't kidnap her. They married, in secret, before the Sept of Baelor, with a Septon as witness. She went willingly. Oberyn laughed, bitter. A convenient story, one that makes Rhaegar less of a rapist and more of a romantic fool. It's the truth, Ned said. Lyanna told me herself. Before she died, before she bled out giving birth. Silence. The courtyard was so quiet, Oberyn could hear the sea beyond the walls. A child, Oberyn said slowly. Lyanna had Rhaegar's child. Ned walked to a wooden chest in the corner, opened it. Inside, wrapped in blankets, a baby. Dark hair, gray eyes, stark features, but something else too. Something Targaryen in the shape of his face. This is Jon, Ned said, Lyanna's son. Rhaegar's son, the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Oberyn stared at the child, then at Arthur. And you stayed alive for this? For a baby who has no throne, no kingdom, no future except Robert Baratheon's executioner's block? I stayed alive because I swore an oath, Arthur said, to protect the king. When Rhaegar died, his son became my king. This boy, I don't care if he's a baby. I don't care if the realm thinks he's dead. My oath doesn't care about age or politics. It cares about duty. Duty, Oberyn repeated. Your duty got my sister killed. Your precious Rhaegar left Elia in King's Landing to burn, while he ran off with his northern whore. Ned's hand went to where his sword should be. Don't call her that. That's what Robert calls her. That's what the realm believes. And because of Rhaegar's selfishness, my sister and her children were butchered by Lannister dogs. Oberyn's voice was cold, controlled, but rage burned underneath. Gregor Clegane smashed baby Aegon's head against a wall. Amory Lorch stabbed Rhaenys 50 times, and Tywin Lannister wrapped their bodies in Lannister cloaks and laid them at Robert's feet like trophies. I know, Arthur said quietly. I know what they did, and I will spend the rest of my life regretting that I wasn't there to stop it. Regret doesn't bring them back. No, but this boy can avenge them. You want to use a child as a weapon? I want to forge him into a king, Arthur said. A king who can take back what's his. A king who can bring justice to those who murdered innocents. A king who can punish the Lannisters for what they did to your sister, to her children, to everyone Tywin Lannister has destroyed. Oberyn was silent for a long moment. Then he walked to the chest, looked down at Jon. The baby's eyes opened, gray, like Ned's, like Lyanna's. How old is he? And what's your plan? Raise him as your bastard? Hope no one notices he's the spitting image of the woman Robert loved? Hope Robert never sees him and realizes the truth? Yes, Ned said simply. I claim him as mine, as Jon Snow. A bastard born of some tavern wench I won't name. I take him to Winterfell. I raise him in the north where Robert never goes, and I keep the secret until he's old enough to understand what he is. And then what? Oberyn asked. He marches south with a Stark army and demands the throne? The realm won't accept a Targaryen king. Not after what Aerys did. Not after Robert bled to take the crown. The realm will accept him, Arthur said, if he's strong enough, if he's skilled enough, if he's everything a king should be. Oberyn laughed. You plan to train him. We plan to train him, Arthur said. You and I. I don't train children. You will for this one. Arthur stepped closer. You want revenge for Elia. So do I. But revenge isn't just killing Gregor Clegane. It's not just putting a knife in Tywin Lannister's throat. It's destroying everything they built, everything they stand for, and the only way to do that is to put a Targaryen king on the Iron Throne, a king who will make them answer for their crimes. Oberyn looked at Ned. And you agree with this? Ned's jaw was tight. I made a promise to Lyanna. As she died, she made me swear to protect him, to keep him safe, to give him a chance at life. I didn't know what that meant until Arthur told me the truth about Rhaegar and Lyanna's marriage. But now I do. This boy is the rightful king, and whether I like it or not, my duty is to prepare him for that burden. Even if it means lying to Robert, to your wife, to everyone you know. Yes, Jon was watching him with those gray eyes, old eyes for a child so young. What do you want from me? Oberyn asked. Teach him, Arthur said. Teach him everything you know. Teach him to fight without honor, when honor isn't enough. Teach him to kill when killing is justice. Teach him to be ruthless, cunning, dangerous. I'll teach him discipline, swordsmanship, the knightly code. Ned will teach him leadership, politics, northern values. But you, Oberyn, you'll teach him to win, to do whatever it takes to destroy his enemies. And when does this training begin? In 5 years, Ned said. I'll take him to Winterfell, raise him as my son. When he's old enough to understand, old enough to train, I'll bring him to a place I'm building in the Wolfswood. A hunting lodge, remote, hidden. Only a handful of people will know it exists. Arthur will live there, you'll visit once a year, and together you'll forge this boy into a weapon. 15 years, Arthur said. That's how long we have. When Jon is 16, Robert Baratheon will come to Winterfell. He'll offer Ned the position of Hand of the King. And when that happens, Jon will reveal himself. He'll show the realm what he can do, and he'll start taking back what's his. Oberyn studied them both. You're asking me to spend 15 years training a child I've never met for a war that might never happen. And if I refuse, then I'll train him alone, Arthur said. And when he's ready, I'll march him south with or without Dorne's support. But Oberyn, you want justice for Elia. This is how you get it. This is how you make Tywin Lannister pay. This is how you destroy the Lannisters so completely that their name becomes synonymous with butchery and shame. Oberyn was quiet for a long time. Then he drew his dagger. The blade was thin, sharp, coated with something dark. If I do this, Oberyn said, I do it my way. I don't train knights. I train killers. If this boy is going to take the throne, he needs to be willing to poison his enemies, to lie, to cheat, to do whatever it takes to survive. Can you accept that sort of a mourning? I can accept results, How we get there, we'll argue about later. Oberyn smiled. Good. Then we have an agreement. He cut his palm with the dagger. Blood welled up, black from the poison. A blood oath, the three of us. We swear to forge this boy into a king. We swear to keep the secret. We swear to destroy the Lannisters, and we swear that if any of us breaks this oath, the other two will kill him. Ned cut his palm with a knife from his belt. Arthur did the same. They clasped hands, blood mixing, poison spreading between them. I swear, Ned said, to protect him as my son and keep his secret, to forge him into a king worthy of the throne. I swear, Oberyn said, to teach him to destroy those who murdered his family. They held the grip for a long moment, then released. Oberyn wrapped his hand in cloth. The poison wouldn't kill him. He'd built up immunity years ago. But Ned and Arthur would feel it for days, a reminder of the oath they'd just sworn. When do I come north? Oberyn asked. In 5 years, Ned said. I'll send word through Ashara. She'll tell you when it's time. And the boy's name? You're calling him Jon Snow, a bastard's name. No one will suspect. Oberyn looked at the baby one last time. He doesn't look like much now. Small, weak, helpless. He won't be, Arthur said. Not when we're done with him. Oberyn nodded. For Elia, for Rhaenys, for Aegon, for justice, Arthur said. They left the courtyard separately. Oberyn first, disappearing into Starfall's halls. Then Ned, carrying Jon wrapped in blankets. Arthur stayed behind, alone in the courtyard where they'd sworn the oath. He looked at his hand. The cut was already healing, but he could feel the poison in his blood. A slow burn. He died at the Tower of Joy. Everyone believed it. The songs said so. Ned Stark had returned Dawn to Starfall. The sword of the morning was gone. But the dead could still fight. And for the next 15 years, Arthur Dayne would do exactly that. Winterfell, 283 AC. 1 month later, Ned Stark rode through the gates of Winterfell with a baby in his arms. The castle was exactly as he left it. Gray stone walls, smoke rising from the forges, the godswood in the distance. Home. But everything had changed. Catelyn Tully Stark stood in the courtyard waiting for him. She was his wife. They'd been married less than 2 years. She'd given birth to Robb while Ned was at war. Now she stood there, holding their son, watching Ned ride toward her with another child. Ned dismounted, walked to her. She saw the baby in his arms. Her face went cold. Whose child is that? Mine, Ned said quietly. Yours. Yes. From whom? It doesn't matter. It does to me. Catelyn's voice was tight, controlled, but fury burned underneath. You were at war for a year. You came home with a bastard. I want to know who the mother was. I can't tell you. Can't or won't. Both. Catelyn looked at the baby. Dark hair, gray eyes, stark features. What's his name? Jon Snow. And you're bringing him here, to Winterfell, to raise alongside our son? Yes. No. Catelyn's voice was hard. You don't bring a bastard into my home. You don't humiliate me like this. Send him away. Send him to a farm, to a foster family, anywhere but here. I can't. Why not? Because I made a promise to his mother as she died. Catelyn's eyes filled with tears. You loved her. No, Ned said. And it was the truth. He'd loved Lyanna, but he couldn't say that, couldn't explain that this child was hers, not some tavern wench's. But I gave my word, and I keep my promises, even if it destroys our marriage. Even then. Catelyn turned away, walked back into the castle. Ned stood there holding Jon. The baby was crying now, hungry, cold. Ned looked down at him. I'm sorry, Ned whispered, for everything you're about to endure, for the lie I'm telling, for the mother you'll never know. But I made a promise to her, and I'll keep it, even if it costs me everything. Maester Luwin appeared, old, gray-bearded, loyal. Lord Stark, welcome home. Maester, I need a wet nurse for the child, and a room, somewhere quiet. Of course, my lord. May I ask? No, Ned said. You may not. Luwin nodded. He understood. Some secrets were too dangerous to speak aloud. The Wolf's Wood, 288 AC. 5 years later, Jon Snow was 5 years old when Ned took him into the Wolf's Wood for the first time. They rode on horseback, just the two of them, leaving Winterfell before dawn. Catelyn didn't ask where they were going. She never asked about Jon. She barely looked at him. The Wolfswood was vast, dense, dangerous. Wolves hunted there, bears. Worse things, some said. But Ned knew the paths. He'd spent the last 5 years building a hunting lodge deep in the forest, a place no one knew about except Howland Reed, Jory Cassell, and one maester Ned trusted with his life. They rode for hours. The trees grew thicker, darker. Jon sat in front of Ned on the saddle, quiet. He was always quiet. Too quiet for a child. He didn't play with Robb, didn't laugh with the other children. He just watched, learned, waited. "Where are we going?" Jon asked. "To meet someone," Ned said. "Who?" "Someone who's going to teach you things I can't." They reached a clearing. In the center, a stone lodge. Small, fortified. Smoke rising from the chimney. Ned dismounted, lifted Jon down. They walked to the door. Ned knocked. The door opened. Arthur Dayne stood there. He was older now. 5 years older. His hair was longer, tied back. His beard was thick. He wore simple clothes, northern clothes, no armor, no white cloak, but his eyes were the same, sharp, focused, dangerous. "Lord Stark," Arthur said formally. "Ser Arthur," Ned replied. Arthur looked down at Jon. "So this is him." "Yes." Arthur knelt, put himself at Jon's eye level. "What's your name, boy?" "Jon Snow." "A bastard's name." "Yes, sir." "Do you know who I am?" "No, sir." Arthur glanced at Ned. "You didn't tell him." "I wanted you to." Arthur looked back at Jon. "I'm a dead man, Jon. The world thinks I died 5 years ago at a place called the Tower of Joy, but I didn't die. I survived, and I've been living here in this forest ever since, waiting for you." Jon's eyes widened slightly. "Waiting for me? Why? And I'm going to teach you what that means." "I don't understand." "You will." Arthur stood. "Ned, how long can you leave him here?" "Any longer and people will ask questions. 3 days isn't enough. It'll have to be. For now, I'll bring him back every few months, a week at a time. When he's older, longer." Arthur nodded. "Then we start today." He looked at Jon. "Can you hold a sword?" "I don't know. Then we'll find out." Ned left, rode back to Winterfell alone. Jon stayed. The lodge had one large room, a fireplace, a table, a bed, weapons on the walls, swords, spears, daggers. Jon stared at them. "Pick one," Arthur said. Jon walked to the wall. The swords were too big, too heavy. But there was a wooden practice sword, small, light. He picked it up. "Good choice," Arthur said. "Now show me how you hold it." Jon gripped it with both hands. Wrong. Arthur adjusted Jon's grip, moved his feet, straightened his back. A sword is an extension of your arm. If you hold it wrong, you fight wrong. If you stand wrong, you die wrong. Do you understand? "Yes, sir." "Don't call me sir. Call me Arthur. Lord Stark says I should call knights sir. I'm not a knight anymore. I'm dead, remember? Now swing." Jon swung. The wooden sword cut through the air. Slow, clumsy. Again. Jon swung again. 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 For 3 days, Jon swung the wooden sword. Arthur corrected him, adjusted him, made him start over every time he made a mistake. By the 3rd day, Jon's arms were shaking. His hands were blistered. But the swing was cleaner, faster, better. On the morning of the 3rd day, Ned returned. "How did he do?" Ned asked Arthur while Jon slept. "He's quick to learn, quiet, focused. He'll make a good student." "And the truth? When do we tell him?" "Not yet. Let him grow a few more years. Let him understand what hard work feels like, what discipline means. Then we tell him who he really is." Ned looked at Jon. The boy was curled up by the fire, exhausted. "He asks about his mother sometimes. What do you tell him? That she's gone, that she loved him? That's all he needs to know for now. And when he asks why you're doing this, why you're taking him into the forest to train with a dead man, I tell him the truth, that the world is dangerous, that he needs to be ready. Bring him back in 3 months." "I will." Ned woke Jon. They rode back to Winterfell. Jon didn't speak the entire ride, but when they reached the gates, he looked at Ned. "Will we go back?" "Yes." "When?" "Soon." "Good," Jon said. "I want to learn more." And he did. For the next 3 years, Jon visited the Wolfswood Lodge every few months. a week at a time, sometimes longer. Arthur taught him swordsmanship, footwork, defense, endurance. Jon learned fast. Faster than Arthur expected by age 8, Jon could fight for hours without stopping. His hands bled. His muscles ached. But he never complained. Winterfell. 290 AC. Jon aged 7. Robb Stark was 8 years old, strong, confident, heir to Winterfell. Jon was 7, quiet, a bastard who sat at the edge of every feast and watched the highborn laugh. They trained together sometimes in Winterfell's yard. Sir Roderick Cassel taught them both. But Jon held back, never showed his real skill, never let anyone see what Arthur was teaching him, Robb noticed. "You're not trying," Robb said after a sparring session. They were alone in the yard, practicing with wooden swords. "I am," Jon said. "No, you're not. I beat you every time, but when we wrestle, you win. When we run, you're faster. So why do you let me win with swords? Is it because you're a bastard? Because you think you're supposed to lose to me? No. Because if I beat you, people will ask questions. They'll wonder where I learned, and I can't tell them." Robb frowned. "Where do you go with father when you ride into the Wolf's Wood for weeks at a time?" "Hunting. You don't bring back any game. We don't always catch anything." Robb studied Jon. "You're hiding something." "Yes." "Can you tell me what?" "No." Robb nodded slowly. "Okay, but Jon, when you're ready, when you can tell me, I'll listen. We're brothers. That matters more than anything." Jon felt something tighten in his chest. "Thank you." The Wolfswood Lodge, 293 AC. Jon aged 10. Jon was 10 years old when he learned the truth. He'd been training with Arthur for 5 years. He could fight with a sword for hours without tiring. He knew a dozen defensive techniques. He could read an opponent's body language before they struck. Arthur said he was ready. They sat by the fire after a long day of training. Jon's hands were bleeding again. Arthur wrapped them in cloth. "You're doing well," Arthur said. "Thank you. But there's something you need to know. Something Ned was supposed to tell you, but he asked me to do it instead." "What?" Arthur was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You're not Ned Stark's son." Jon's breath caught. "What? Ned Stark is your uncle. Not your father. Your mother was his sister, Lyanna Stark. Rhaegar Targaryen, Crown Prince of the Seven Kingdoms." Silence. The fire crackled. Jon stared at Arthur, unable to speak. "Your mother and Rhaegar married in secret," Arthur continued. "She went with him willingly. They loved each other, and when Robert Baratheon started a war to get her back, Rhaegar died fighting. Your mother died giving birth to you at the Tower of Joy, and Ned took you home, claimed you as his bastard, lied to everyone he knew, all to keep you safe." "Safe from what?" "From the Lannisters. From anyone who would kill you for being a Targaryen. You're the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, Jon. Or should I say Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name." Jon stood, walked to the window, looked out at the dark forest. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you need to understand what we're preparing you for. You're not training to be a good swordsman. You're training to be a king. To take back the throne that's yours by right. To bring justice to those who murdered your family. I don't want to be a king. It doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you are." Jon turned. "And what am I?" Arthur stood, walked to Jon, put a hand on his shoulder. "You're the boy I swore to protect, the king I swore to serve, and whether you like it or not, you have a duty, to your father, to your mother, to the realm, and I'm going to make sure you're ready to fulfill it." Jon looked at Arthur, at the scarred, hard man who'd spent 5 years teaching him to fight. "And if I refuse?" Gregor Clegane smashed Baby Aegon's head against a wall. Amory Lorch stabbed Rhaenys 50 times, and they wrapped the bodies in Lannister cloaks and presented them to Robert Baratheon like gifts. If you refuse your duty, those men walk free. They live rich, comfortable lives while your family rots in the ground. Jon's hands clenched into fists. "I was a baby. I didn't know them. But they were your family, and family matters. Blood matters. Justice matters. Can you really walk away knowing the people who murdered children are living in castles, drinking wine, laughing? And when the time comes, you'll strike. When? In 6 years, when you're 16, Robert Baratheon will come to Winterfell to offer Ned the position of Hand of the King. And when he does, you'll show the realm what you can do. You'll expose the Lannisters for what they are, and you'll start taking back your throne. Jon looked at his hands, the blisters, the scars, 5 years of training, and 6 more to go. Will I be ready? Yes, Arthur said, because starting next year, you'll have another teacher, someone who'll show you things I can't, things you'll need to survive. Who? Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper of Dorne. The Wolfswood Lodge, 294 AC. Jon, age 11. Oberyn Martell arrived in the dead of winter. He rode to White Harbor on a ship from Dorne, disguised as a Braavosi merchant. Then he traveled overland to the Wolfswood. Alone. No guards, no banners. By the time he reached the lodge, snow covered the ground and his breath misted in the cold air. Arthur met him at the door. You're late, Arthur said. I'm here, Oberyn replied. Where's the boy? Over and over. The blade was almost as tall as he was, but he wielded it with both hands, using his whole body to generate power. Arthur had taught him well. Oberyn watched for a moment. Then he said, he fights like you. That's the point. It's also the problem. Oberyn walked to Jon. Stop. The man was lean, dark-skinned, with eyes like a predator. He wore Dornish silks under a northern cloak. A spear was strapped to his back. Who are you? Jon asked. Oberyn Martell, Prince of Dorne, and your other teacher. Jon looked at Arthur. Arthur nodded. Put down the greatsword, Oberyn said. Jon did. Arthur's been teaching you to fight like a knight, honorably, with discipline and technique. That's good. You need that. But you also need to know how to fight like a viper. Fast. Lethal. Without honor when honor gets you killed. Do you understand? I think so. You will. Oberyn unstrapped his spear, 8 feet of ashwood with a steel tip. He tossed it to Jon. Jon caught it barely. The balance was different from a sword. Lighter. Longer. A spear has reach, Oberyn said. More reach than any sword. If you use it right, your opponent can't touch you. But if you use it wrong, you're dead. Show me how you'd hold it. Jon gripped the spear with both hands. One near the middle, one near the end. Wrong. Oberyn adjusted Jon's grip. Closer together. You're not trying to push. You're trying to thrust. Precision, not power. Again. Jon adjusted. Better. Now thrust. Jon thrust the spear forward. Too slow. Again. Jon thrust again. Still too slow. You're thinking. Stop thinking. Just move. For the next week, Oberyn drilled Jon on spear work, thrusts, parries, footwork. It was completely different from Arthur's training. Arthur taught control, discipline, power. Oberyn taught speed, precision, lethality. Jon struggled at first. The spear felt wrong in his hands. But by the end of the week, he was starting to understand. On the last day, Oberyn and Arthur sparred. Oberyn with his spear, Arthur with a greatsword. Jon watched. They moved like nothing Jon had ever seen. Oberyn was fast, darting in and out, the spear tip targeting joints, gaps in imaginary armor. Arthur was powerful, each swing of the greatsword forcing Oberyn back, controlling the space. Neither could land a hit. They were too skilled, too experienced. After 10 minutes, they stopped. See that? Oberyn said to Jon. 2 different styles, 2 different philosophies. Arthur fights like a knight, I fight like an assassin, and you, Jon, you're going to learn both. Because when you face your enemies, you need to be able to choose. Fight with honor when honor works. Fight dirty when dirty wins. Understand? Yes. Good. Oberyn looked at Arthur. He's got potential, but he's soft. Too much discipline, not enough killer instinct. He's 11, Arthur said. I'd killed 3 men by 11. You grew up in Dorne. He grew up in the north. Then it's time he learned what the world's really like. Oberyn turned to Jon. Tomorrow, I'm going to teach you about poison, how to make it, how to use it, how to survive it. And I'm going to tell you exactly what the Lannisters did to Elia Martell and her children. Every detail, every moment. Because you need to understand what you're fighting against. You need to understand why mercy isn't always justice. Jon swallowed. Will you come back? Every year. For 5 more years, and each time, I'll teach you something new. By the time you're 16, you'll be able to kill a man a dozen different ways. With a sword, with a spear, with poison, with your bare hands, and you'll know exactly when to use each one. That night, Jon couldn't sleep. He lay by the fire, staring at the ceiling. Arthur and Oberyn were talking quietly in the corner. He's too young for this, Arthur said. He's old enough to know the truth, Oberyn replied. Elia's children were younger than him when they died. Aegon was a baby. Rhaenys was 3. If this boy is going to avenge them, he needs to understand what happened. Understanding and obsessing are different things. Let him obsess. Obsession is a weapon. Channel it right, and it'll make him unstoppable. Arthur was quiet, then he said, "Don't break him. I won't, but I will make sure he's hard enough to survive what's coming. Because the Lannisters won't show him mercy. Robert won't show him mercy. The realm won't show him mercy. So we need to make sure he doesn't need it." Tried to sleep, but all he could think about were the names Oberyn had mentioned. Elia, Rhaenys, Aegon, his family, dead because of the Lannisters. And tomorrow, he'd learn exactly how they died. The Wolfswood Lodge, 294 AC, the next morning. Oberyn placed a cage on the table. Inside, a rat, brown fur, red eyes. It scratched at the bars, trying to escape. This, Oberyn said, is how Elia's children died. Jon stood across from him. Arthur was outside chopping wood. He'd made it clear he didn't approve of this lesson, but he didn't stop it. Oberyn opened a small vial, clear liquid inside, manticore venom, extracted from scorpions in Dorne. 1 drop paralyzes, 2 drops kill, but it takes time. Hours, sometimes days. He used a needle to place a single drop on a piece of bread. Then he opened the cage, placed the bread inside. The rat ate it immediately. "Watch," Oberyn said. For the first few minutes, nothing happened. The rat moved normally. Then it started to slow. Its legs trembled. It tried to walk but fell. Then it lay on its side, breathing rapidly, eyes wide with panic. "It's still alive," Oberyn said quietly. "It can feel everything, the pain, the fear, but it can't move, can't escape, can only wait for death." Jon watched. The rat's breathing grew slower, shallower. After 10 minutes, it stopped moving entirely. Dead. Oberyn closed the vial. Gregor Clegane didn't use poison. He used his hands. He grabbed baby Aegon, Elia's son, your half-brother, and he smashed his head against a wall. The baby's skull shattered. Brain matter on the stones. Elia screamed, begged. Gregor ignored her. Then Amory Lorch came for Rhaenys. She was 3 years old. She hid under her father's bed. Lorch dragged her out, stabbed her, not once, 50 times. She died slowly, painfully, crying for her mother. Jon's hands were clenched so tight his nails cut into his palms. Elia watched it all, Oberyn continued, watched her children die. Then Gregor raped her, tore her apart, killed her. And when it was done, Tywin Lannister wrapped the bodies in Lannister cloaks, brought them to Robert Baratheon, laid them at his feet like trophies, and Robert did nothing, said nothing, just looked at the bodies and turned away. "Why are you telling me this?" Jon's voice was barely a whisper. "Because you need to understand what you're fighting against. You need to understand that the Lannisters don't fight with honor. They fight with brutality, with terror. And if you try to beat them by following the rules, by being noble and just, you'll end up like Elia's children, dead, forgotten, unavenged." Jon looked at the dead rat. "What do you want me to do? I want you to learn. I want you to understand that sometimes the right thing to do is the ugly thing, the cruel thing. When you face Gregor Clegane, and you will face him, don't give him a quick death. Don't show him mercy he never showed to children. Use poison. Make him suffer. Make him understand what he did. Arthur says revenge is a tool, that justice is the goal. Arthur is right, but justice doesn't mean mercy. It means balance. Gregor Clegane murdered children slowly, painfully. Justice means he dies the same way." Jon was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Teach me." And Oberyn did. For the next week, Oberyn taught Jon about poisons. Widow's blood, which thickened blood until the heart stopped. The strangler, which closed the throat. Manticore venom, which paralyzed. Nightshade, which caused fever and madness. Jon learned how to extract them, how to mix them, how to apply them to blades. He learned about antidotes, about building immunity by taking small doses over years. "Never poison your own blade without having the antidote," Oberyn said. "Never use poison you haven't tested. Never trust anyone else to prepare your weapons. Do it yourself. Always." Jon memorized it all. On the last day, Oberyn handed Jon a small leather case. Inside, 6 vials, each labeled. "These are yours. Keep them hidden. Use them when the time comes. And when you kill Gregor Clegane, use this one." He pointed to the vial of manticore venom. "Make him suffer. When I fight him, yes, I'll be at Winterfell when Robert arrives. I'll reveal myself then, and I'll demand trial by combat for Gregor Clegane. You'll be my champion. Why me? Because you're the heir, the rightful king. When you step into that arena and kill the mountain, the realm will see what you are. They'll see a Targaryen who can fight, who can win, who can bring justice. That's more important than my personal revenge. But you want to kill him yourself." Oberyn smiled. Thin, cold. "I do. More than anything, but I want the Lannisters destroyed more. And you're the one who can do that." He left the next day, rowed back to White Harbor, then sailed to Dorne. Jon didn't see him again for a year. The Wolfswood Lodge, 295 AC, Jon age 12. The training intensified. Arthur pushed Jon harder. Longer sessions, heavier weapons. Full contact sparring, Jon's body changed. He grew taller, leaner, stronger. Muscles developed from years of swinging swords and spears. His hands were permanently calloused, his arms scarred from blades that got through his guard. One afternoon, Arthur handed Jon a greatsword, not a practice blade, real steel. "You're ready for this," Arthur said. Jon took it. The weight was different, heavier than wood. More balanced, he swung it, the blade cut through the air with a whistle. "Good. Now we fight. For real. You'll kill me. I'll try not to, but Jon, you need to understand what real combat feels like. Practice swords don't prepare you for steel, for the weight, for the knowledge that one mistake ends your life. So we fight, and we don't stop until one of us yields." They fought. Arthur was faster than Jon expected. Stronger, every swing of his greatsword forced Jon back. Jon tried to use defensive techniques, tried to parry, but Arthur's power broke through. A strike to Jon's shoulder sent him spinning. A cut across his ribs drew blood. Jon fell. "Get up," Arthur said. Jon got up. They fought again. Jon tried different techniques, tried to use footwork to create distance, but Arthur anticipated everything. Another strike. Jon's sword flew from his hands. Arthur's blade stopped at Jon's throat. "You're dead," Arthur said. Jon was breathing hard, blood running down his side. "I couldn't stop you. That's progress." Arthur lowered his blade. Again, they fought 5 more times that day. Jon lost every time. But each time he lasted a little longer, learned a little more. By the 5th fight, he managed to disarm Arthur for a split second before Arthur recovered and beat him again. "Better," Arthur said as the sun set. "Much better. In a year, you might actually beat me." Jon doubted it, but he kept training. The Wolfswood Lodge, 296 AC, Jon age 13. Oberyn returned. This time, he brought a spear, 8 feet of ash wood with a steel tip. He handed it to Jon. "This is yours. Custom made, the balance is perfect for someone your height and weight. Learn it, master it. It's going to be your primary weapon." Jon took the spear. It felt right in his hands, light, fast, deadly. "Now," Oberyn said, "I'm going to teach you the Viper's Dance." For the next 2 weeks, Oberyn drilled Jon on spear combat, not just thrusts and parries, full fighting techniques, footwork patterns, how to control distance, how to target specific points on an armored opponent, joints, neck, eyes, gaps in plate armor where a spearhead could slip through. "A spear isn't about power," Oberyn said. "It's about precision. You don't need to hit hard. You need to hit right. Target the knee joint, the opponent falls. Target the elbow, they drop their weapon. Target the neck, they die. Simple." Jon practiced against wooden posts wrapped in leather to simulate armor. Oberyn marked the weak points in red paint. Jon had to hit those points. If he missed, he started over. After a week, Jon could hit the red marks 9 times out of 10. "Good," Oberyn said. "Now we add movement." Arthur joined them, wore full leather armor, moved around the clearing. Jon had to track him, maintain distance, target the weak points while Arthur tried to close the gap. It was harder than the stationary posts. Arthur was fast, unpredictable. He'd charge, forcing Jon to retreat. He'd feint, making Jon commit to a thrust that hit nothing. But Jon learned, adapted, started to anticipate Arthur's movements. On the last day, Jon landed 3 clean hits. 1 to Arthur's knee, 1 to his elbow, 1 to his neck. all killing blows if the spear had been real. Arthur stopped, pulled off his helmet. You're ready. For what? For real combat. Not against me, against someone who actually wants to kill you. Jon's stomach tightened. Who? We'll find someone when the time comes. A Lannister soldier, a bandit, someone who deserves to die. You need to know what it feels like to take a life before you face Gregor Clegane. Oberyn nodded. Arthur's right. Killing a man isn't like killing a practice dummy. There's blood, screaming, the look in their eyes when they realize they're dying. You need to experience that, to understand it, so you don't freeze when it matters. Jon swallowed. When? Soon, Arthur said. In the next year or two. We'll create an opportunity. He'd spent years training to fight, but he'd never actually killed anyone, never taken a life. The thought made his hands shake, but he remembered what Oberyn had told him about Elia, about Rhaenys and Aegon, about what the Lannisters did. If he had to kill to avenge them, he would. The Wolfswood Lodge, 297 AC, Jon age 14. The opportunity came during a hunting trip. Ned brought Jon into the deeper parts of the Wolfswood, far from Winterfell. They were tracking a boar when they heard voices. Men, rough voices, laughing. Ned and Jon dismounted, moved quietly through the trees. They found a camp, 4 men, deserters from the Night's Watch, based on their black cloaks. They had a woman tied to a tree. She was crying, begging. The men ignored her. Ned's jaw tightened. Deserters, rapists, they'll hang for this. Or, Jon said quietly, I can kill them. Ned looked at Jon, saw something in his eyes. Something hard, cold. Are you ready for that? Yes. Ned nodded slowly. Then do it, but make it clean. Don't let them suffer. Arthur said I need to know what real combat feels like. This isn't combat, this is execution. There's a difference. Combat is 2 fighters trying to kill each other. Execution is justice against men who've already lost. Understand? Yes. Jon drew his spear, moved through the trees, silent. The deserters didn't hear him. They were too focused on the woman, on what they were about to do. Jon stepped into the clearing, let her go, saw a boy, 14 years old, holding a spear. They laughed. Run along, boy, one of them said. This doesn't concern you. I'm giving you one chance. Let her go. Walk away, or die. They laughed harder. The largest one drew a sword. I'm going to enjoy this. He charged. Jon didn't hesitate. The spear thrust forward, caught the man in the throat. Blood sprayed. The man fell, choking, dying. The other 3 froze, stared at their companion bleeding out on the ground. Then they attacked. Jon moved. Everything Arthur and Oberyn taught him came together. Footwork, distance control, precision strikes. The second man lunged with a knife. Jon's spear caught him in the chest, punched through ribs, pierced the heart. Dead before he hit the ground. The third man tried to run. Jon threw the spear. It hit him in the back. He fell. The fourth man dropped his weapon, raised his hands. Please, I yield. I yield. Jon walked to him, pulled the spear from the third man's back, looked at the deserter kneeling before him. You were going to rape her, Jon said quietly. I wasn't. I swear. It was them, not me. Jon looked at the woman tied to the tree. She was shaking her head. He's lying. He was first. Jon drove the spear through the man's eye. The man fell. Dead. Silence. Jon stood there. Blood on his hands. On his clothes. 4 men dead. The woman was crying. Not from fear, from relief. Ned stepped into the clearing, untied the woman. Go. Run. Don't speak of this. She ran. Ned looked at Jon. How do you feel? Jon looked at his hands. They weren't shaking. He thought they would be, but they were steady. I feel nothing. That's normal. The first time, there's no emotion. It comes later, in dreams. In quiet moments, you'll see their faces, hear their screams. It will haunt you. Will it stop? Some men break under that weight. Others grow stronger. Which will you be? Ned put a hand on Jon's shoulder. Then you're ready for what comes next. The Wolfswood Lodge, 297 AC. Later that year, Arthur and Jon sparred. Real swords. Full contact. They'd been fighting for an hour. Jon was faster now, stronger. His technique was nearly perfect. He could read Arthur's movements, anticipate strikes, counter before Arthur committed. Arthur swung. Jon parried, spun, struck Arthur's wrist. The sword flew from Arthur's hand. Jon's blade stopped at Arthur's throat. Arthur smiled. For the first time in years he smiled. You did it. Jon lowered his blade. I beat you. Yes, not easily, not consistently, but you beat me. That means you're ready. For what? Arthur picked up his sword to understand the final lesson, the burden of being a king. They sat by the fire. Arthur poured 2 cups of water, handed one to Jon. A king is a shield, Arthur said. That's what I've been teaching you. Discipline, defense, protection. A king stands between his people and harm. He absorbs the blows meant for them. He bleeds so they don't have to. That's the knight's way. And Oberyn's way? Oberyn teaches that a king is an executioner, that justice requires ruthlessness, that mercy for the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. Both of us are right, and both of us are wrong. I don't understand. A king is whatever the realm needs him to be. Sometimes a shield, sometimes a sword, sometimes a judge. Sometimes a monster you don't get to choose. The situation chooses for you, and if you're wise, you'll know which role to play and when. Arthur looked into the fire. When you reveal yourself at Winterfell, when Robert arrives and you step forward, you'll have one chance to show the realm what kind of king you'll be. If you're too soft, they'll dismiss you as weak. If you're too brutal, they'll fear you as mad. You need to be both, strong enough to command respect, just enough to earn loyalty. Can you do that? I don't know. Then you'll learn, because in less than a year, Robert Baratheon will come to Winterfell, and everything we've worked for, everything we've built, will be tested. Are you ready? 15 years of training, 15 years of secrets, 15 years preparing for a moment that would change everything. Yes, Jon said, I'm ready, because Oberyn arrives next month, and he's bringing your final gift. The Wolfswood Lodge, 298 AC, Jon, age 15. 2 months before Robert's arrival. Oberyn arrived with a long wooden case. He set it on the table, opened it. Inside a spearhead, but not steel. Something else, darker, lighter. The metal seemed to drink in the firelight. Valyrian steel, Oberyn said. Jon stared. How? I bought a Valyrian steel dagger in Volantis 3 years ago, paid a fortune for it. Then I took it to Qohor, to a smith who knows the old techniques. Had him reforge it into a spearhead. It took 2 years, cost me more gold than most lords see in a lifetime. But it's done. He lifted the spearhead, 8 inches long, perfectly balanced. The edge was so sharp it seemed to cut the air. This is Viper's fang, Oberyn said. Your weapon, the Valyrian steel, never needs sharpening. It cuts through regular armor like parchment, and it's light enough that you can fight for hours without tiring. Mount it on your ash spear, learn its weight, its balance. This is what you'll use to kill Rhaegar Clegane. Jon took the spearhead. It was warm to the touch. Alive almost, he attached it to his ashwood spear shaft. The fit was perfect. The balance was incredible. He swung it. The Valyrian steel spearhead cut through the air without resistance. How does it feel? Oberyn asked. Like it was. Everything about this weapon is designed for you. Your height, your strength, your fighting style. When you step into that arena against the mountain, this spear will be the only thing standing between you and death. Treat it well. The Valyrian steel changed everything. It was faster than regular steel, lighter, every thrust was quicker, every parry effortless. By the end of the week, Jon could hit targets blindfolded just by feeling the spear's balance. Arthur watched one of the sessions. He's ready. Almost, Oberyn said. There's one more lesson, the most important one. When you fight Rhaegar Clegane, you'll have 2 choices. You can fight like Arthur taught you, with honor, with discipline, give him a clean death. Or you can fight like I taught you, make him suffer, make him scream, make him understand what he did to Elia's children. Which should I choose? Neither. You should choose what wins. Rhaegar Clegane is 8 feet tall. He's strong enough to crush a man's skull with his bare hands. If you fight him honorably, he'll overpower you. If you try to make him suffer, you'll waste time and he'll kill you. So you fight smart. You use the spear to keep distance. You use poison to weaken him. And when he's down, when he's helpless, then you make him suffer. Not for revenge, not for satisfaction, but for justice. So the realm sees what happens to men who murder children. And after I kill him, then the real war begins. Robert will demand answers. Tywin Lannister will try to have you executed. Cersei will scream for your blood, and you'll have to survive all of it. With words. With politics, with alliances. That's where Ned comes in. He'll protect you, speak for you. And Arthur and I will stand beside you. Together, we'll force Robert to acknowledge the truth, that you're Rhaegar's son, that you're the rightful heir, that the throne is yours. Robert won't give up the throne. No, but he might compromise, let you live, let you grow, and when he dies, and he will die, the realm will turn to you, because you'll have proven yourself. You'll have shown them you're strong, just, worthy. Jon was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "What if I fail? What if Gregor kills me?" Oberyn's face was hard. "Then I'll kill Gregor myself. And Arthur and I will find another way to destroy the Lannisters. But you won't fail. I've spent 5 years training you. I know what you can do. And I know you're ready." "How can you be sure?" "Because I've seen you kill. I've seen you fight, and I've seen the look in your eyes when you talk about Elia's children. You're not fighting for glory. You're fighting for justice, and that makes you dangerous." Oberyn stood. "Robert arrives in 2 months. When he does, stay hidden. Stay quiet. Let the Lannisters think they're safe. Then, on the second day, when Jaime Lannister spars in Winterfell's yard, you step forward. You challenge him in front of the entire court. That's the moment everything changes. That's when you stop being Jon Snow and start being Aegon Targaryen. And if Jaime refuses, he won't. His pride won't let him. Jaime Lannister thinks he's the best swordsman in Westeros. When a bastard with a spear challenges him, he'll accept. And when you beat him, when you make him look like a fool, the Lannisters will panic. They'll make mistakes, and will exploit those mistakes. Oberyn walked to the door, stopped, looked back. "One last thing. When you kill Gregor, don't monologue, don't explain, don't gloat. Just kill him." Oberyn Martell died in the books because he wanted Gregor to confess. He wanted the mountain to say Tywin's name, and that hesitation got him killed. You're not me, you're better. You're Arthur's discipline and my lethality combined. So when the moment comes, you thrust the spear through his eye, and you end it. Understood? Understood. Oberyn left. Jon stood alone in the lodge, viper's fang in his hands. 2 months until everything changed. He was ready. Winterfell. 298 AC. The day before Robert's arrival, Jon stood in his small room in Winterfell, the room Catelyn had given him, far from the family chambers. Cold, dark. But it didn't matter. He barely spent time here over the years. Most of his life had been in the Wolfswood, training, learning, preparing. Tomorrow, Robert Baratheon would arrive, and Jon would stop hiding. A knock on the door. Ned entered. "Jon, we need to talk. I know what you're going to say. Be careful. Stay hidden. Don't reveal myself until the right moment." "No." Ned closed the door. "I'm going to tell you the truth about what I've sacrificed for you, what this lie has cost me." Jon turned. Ned looked older. Tired. 15 years of carrying the secret had aged him. "Catelyn hates you," Ned said. "She's hated you since the day I brought you to Winterfell. She sees you as proof of my infidelity, as a stain on our marriage. And I let her believe that. I let her hate you. Let her hate me, because telling her the truth would have put you in danger. I know. Do you understand what it's like to watch your wife look at you with disgust? To know that the woman you love thinks you betrayed her? To see her treat an innocent child like filth because of a lie you told?" Jon's throat tightened. "I'm sorry. I kept it. And I'd do it again. But Jon, tomorrow, when you reveal yourself, when you tell the world who you really are, Catelyn will know. She'll know I lied to her for 15 years. And I don't know if she'll ever forgive me. Then tell her now, before tomorrow, give her time to understand. No, if I tell her now, she might try to stop you. She might tell Robert, she might do anything to protect Rob, to protect our family. I can't risk that, so I'll let her find out with everyone else. And I'll deal with the consequences." Looked out at Winterfell's courtyard. Tomorrow, Jaime Lannister will spar in the yard. He'll be showing off, demonstrating his skill. The entire court will be watching. That's when you step forward. That's when you challenge him. And Jon, you need to destroy him. Completely. No mercy, no hesitation. Make him look like a child playing with a sword. Can you do that? Yes. Good. Because after you beat Jaime, the Lannisters will panic. Cersei will want you dead. Jaime will want revenge, and Robert will want answers. You need to be ready for all of it. What about Bran? In the books, Jaime pushes him from the tower window. Ned's eyes narrowed. You know about that? Oberyn told me. He said the Lannisters need to be caught. That we can't let them escape. Tonight, you watch the tower. If Jaime and Cersei go there, if they try anything, you stop them, you catch them, and you bring them to me. Alive. We need them alive to expose their crimes. And if they fight, then you do what you've been trained to do. You win. Ned put a hand on Jon's shoulder. I'm proud of you. Lyanna would be proud of you. You've become everything we hoped you'd be. Strong, just, ready. Tomorrow you stop being my bastard. You become who you were always meant to be, Aegon Targaryen, the rightful king. I don't want to be a king. I just want justice. Sometimes they're the same thing. Ned left. Jon sat on his bed. Viper's fang leaned against the wall, hidden under cloth. Tomorrow he'd carry it openly. Tomorrow he'd show the realm what 15 years of training had created. Tomorrow, the Lannisters would learn that the dead could still bite. Winterfell, 298 AC. The royal procession, the horns blew at dawn. The royal procession stretched for miles. King Robert Baratheon rode at the front, fat and drunk, barely fitting in his saddle. Behind him, the Lannisters, Cersei, cold and beautiful, Jaime, golden and arrogant, Tyrion, small and calculating, Joffrey, a boy with cruel eyes. Jon watched from the back of the crowd. Hooded, cloaked, invisible, he saw them all, studied them, memorized their faces. Robert dismounted in Winterfell's courtyard. Ned greeted him. They embraced like old friends. But Jon could see the tension, the years of lies, the secret that stood between them. Ned, Robert said, voice booming, you've gotten older, and you've gotten fatter, Your Grace. Robert laughed, slapped Ned's shoulder. Come, show me your family. Ned led Robert to where Catelyn stood with the children. Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon. They all bowed. Robert looked them over. Fine children, Ned. You've done well. Robert's eyes swept the courtyard. For a moment they landed on Jon. Robert frowned, squinted, saw something in Jon's face, something familiar. But then Jon looked away, and Robert dismissed it. The feast that night was loud, drunken. Robert sat at the high table with Ned. The Lannisters spread throughout the hall. Cersei smiled and schemed. Jaime laughed and drank. Tyrion watched everything with knowing eyes. Jon sat at the lowest table, among servants, among bastards. He ate little, watched much. Arya tried to talk to him. She was the only one who ever did. Jon, why do you always sit alone? Because I have work to do. What work? You'll see, tomorrow. Arya frowned. You're different. You've always been quiet, but now you're something else. What happened to you? Jon looked at her, his sister, half-sister, the only person in Winterfell besides Robb who treated him like family. I grew up, the one where Jaime and Cersei would go, where they'd committed incest dozens of times over the years, where in the original timeline they'd push Bran to his death. Not tonight. Hours passed. Midnight came. Then footsteps. 2 figures in the darkness. Jaime and Cersei. They entered the tower. Jon waited. Gave them time to start, to be vulnerable. Then he climbed. Silent. The way Arthur taught him, using handholds Bran had found years ago. He reached the window, looked inside, saw them together, naked. Rutting like animals, Jon kicked the door open. Jaime spun, reached for his sword, but it was across the room. Cersei screamed. Jon's spear was at her throat before Jaime took 2 steps. Move and the queen dies, Jon said quietly. Scream and she dies. Breathe wrong and she dies. Jaime froze. Who are you? Jon Snow, Ned Stark's bastard, and you just made the worst mistake of your life. Cersei's eyes were wide with terror. You wouldn't dare. You're a bastard. A nothing. I murdered children in their beds, Jon said, voice cold. I'll sleep fine. Jaime's face went pale. Let her go, please. I'll give you anything. I don't want anything from you. I want you to walk. Out of this tower, through Winterfell, to the Great Hall. Both of you, naked if I have to. And you're going to confess what you've been doing. We'll deny it, Cersei said. Then I'll kill you both and tell Robert I found you here together. Your bodies will confirm the story." Jaime looked at Cersei, at Jon, at the spear pressed against his sister's throat. "We'll go." By the time they reached the Great Hall, half the castle was following. Jon kicked the doors open. Robert was inside. Drunk, Ned beside him, the entire court turned. "Wake up, Your Grace," Jon said. "I have a gift for you." Robert stood, saw Jaime and Cersei, saw Jon holding them at spear point. "What is this?" "I caught them together," Jon said. "In the broken tower, committing treason." The hall exploded. Voices, shouts, denials. Cersei tried to speak. Jon cut her off. "Your children aren't Robert's. They're his." He pointed the spear at Jaime. "Joffrey, Tommen, Myrcella, all of them. Bastards born of incest." Robert's face turned purple. "You lie. Look at them, Your Grace. Not one has Baratheon features. Black hair, blue eyes. The seed is strong. Always black hair. Always. Your bastards all look like you. But your supposed heirs, golden hair, green eyes, Lannister traits, because they're Lannisters, not Baratheons." Ned stepped forward, pulled out a book. Jon Arryn was investigating this before he died. He documented every one of your bastards, Your Grace. Every single one has black hair, but Cersei's children don't, because they're not yours. Robert stared at Cersei, at Jaime, at the children standing in the corner. "Is this true?" "I will not be accused by a bastard. Then you'll be accused by me," Ned said. "Jon is right. I've suspected for months, since Jon Arryn's death. He was killed because he discovered the truth, and now that truth is laid bare." Robert's hands shook. "Jaime, tell me it's a lie." "I'll kill you both." Lannister guards drew swords. Stark guards did the same. 50 men on each side. The hall was seconds from erupting into battle. Then a side door opened. A figure in white stepped into the torchlight. Kingsguard armor, white cloak, greatsword in hand. The hall went silent. Jaime's eyes went wide. That armor, that stance. No, it can't be. The figure removed his helm. Arthur Dayne, the sword of the morning, alive. Winterfell, the great hall. The moment Arthur revealed himself, the room was silent, utterly silent. 50 Lannister guards, 50 Stark guards, Robert Baratheon with his warhammer, Cersei and Jaime standing accused, and in the center of it all, a dead man walking. Arthur Dayne stepped forward. His boots echoed on the stone floor. Every eye followed him. Jaime Lannister's face had gone white. Barristan Selmy, standing beside Robert as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, gripped his sword hilt but didn't draw. "I am Arthur Dayne," Arthur said. His voice carried through the hall. Strong, clear. "I died at the Tower of Joy 15 years ago. The songs say Eddard Stark killed me. They're wrong. Howland Reed put a blade through my ribs. I was dying. Ned stopped him, had his maester stitch the wound. Then we told the world I was dead." Robert's voice was hoarse. "Why? Why would Ned save you? You served the Mad King." "I served the king," Arthur corrected. "When Aerys died, when Rhaegar died, I served the rightful heir, the boy born at the Tower of Joy. Lyanna Stark's son." Robert's face twisted. "Lyanna had no son." "She did," Ned said quietly. "She died giving birth to him. Before she died, she made me promise to protect him, to keep him safe from you, from anyone who would kill him for being a Targaryen. Then where is he? This supposed heir?" Arthur turned, looked at Jon. "He's been in front of you all along." Every eye in the hall turned to Jon, the bastard, the boy with the spear, the one who'd caught the Lannisters committing treason. Jon stepped forward, lowered his hood, let them see his face, his dark hair, his gray eyes, stark features, but something else too, something in the shape of his jaw, the set of his shoulders. "My name is Jon Snow," Jon said, "but I was born Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name, son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, rightful heir to the Iron Throne." The hall erupted. Shouts, denials, accusations. Lannister guards shifted, uncertain. Stark guards moved closer to Jon. Cersei's voice cut through the chaos. "This is absurd. The boy is a bastard. Everyone knows Ned Stark fathered him on some tavern wench. That's the lie I told," Ned said. "To protect him. Rhaegar and Lyanna were married in secret. A Septon performed the ceremony. Howland Reed was witness. Jon is legitimate. He is the rightful king. Robert stared at Jon, looked at him, really looked, and saw Lyanna, in his eyes, in his face. The woman Robert had loved, the woman he'd started a war for. And suddenly Robert understood. This boy was hers. "You lied to me," Robert said to Ned, voice shaking. "For 15 years you lied to my face. Yes, you hid a Targaryen heir in your home, in Winterfell, while I sat the throne thinking the line was dead. Yes. Why? Why protect him? You fought for me, you helped me take the throne. Why save Rhaegar's son? Because Lyanna asked me to, and because he's innocent. He was a baby, he'd done nothing wrong, and Robert, you would have killed him. You know you would have." He did know. If Ned had brought a Targaryen baby to him 15 years ago, Robert would have smashed his head against a wall, just like Gregor Clegane did to Elia's children. Jaime Lannister stepped forward. His confidence was returning. "This changes nothing. Even if the boy is Rhaegar's son, he has no claim. Robert won the throne by conquest. The Targaryen dynasty is finished." "Then why did you and your sister murder your own children's legitimacy?" Jon asked coldly. "If the throne is secure, if Robert's line is stable, why commit incest? Why produce bastards and pass them off as heirs?" Jaime had no answer. Jon continued, "You did it because you knew the truth. That conquest alone doesn't make a dynasty. That legitimacy matters. That blood matters. And now the realm will know. Joffrey, Tommen, Myrcella, all bastards born of incest. The Lannister line has no claim, but I do." Cersei screamed, "Kill him! Kill the bastard! Kill them all!" Lannister guards drew swords, surged forward. Stark guards met them. Steel rang. Men shouted. The hall descended into chaos. Then Arthur moved. He was faster than anyone expected. The great sword in his hands became a blur. He didn't kill, didn't need to. He disarmed. A strike to a wrist. A sword flew. A kick to a knee. A guard fell. Within seconds, 5 Lannister guards were on the ground, weaponless, staring at the legend who'd just dismantled them. The Lannister guards froze. You don't fight Arthur Dayne, even after 15 years. Even if you outnumber him. The legend was too strong. Arthur walked toward Jaime, slowly, sword lowered but ready. "Jaime, you were my squire once. I taught you to hold a sword, to fight with honor, and this is what you became? A man who beds his sister, who fathers bastards and calls them princes?" Jaime's hand went to his sword. "I'm not your squire anymore. No, you're the Kingslayer, the man who murdered the king he swore to protect, and now you'll surrender, or I'll make you." Jaime drew his sword. "You're old, Arthur, 15 years in hiding. You're not the sword of the morning anymore. Try me." His reputation as the best swordsman in Westeros wasn't unearned. But Arthur was better, always had been. He parried Jaime's strikes effortlessly, didn't even counter, just defended, made Jaime work, made him realize the gap between them was as wide as it had been 15 years ago. After 30 seconds, Arthur disarmed him. Jaime's sword clattered across the floor. Arthur's blade stopped at Jaime's throat. "Yield," Arthur said quietly. Jaime looked around, saw his guards on the ground, saw Cersei surrounded by Stark men, saw Robert watching with murder in his eyes. He had no options left. "I yield." Arthur lowered his sword, stepped back. Jaime fell to his knees. The Lannister guards dropped their weapons. One by one, the battle was over before it began. Robert stood, looked at Cersei, at Jaime, at the children cowering in the corner. "Arrest them, all of them. Lock them in the dungeons." Stark guards moved forward. Cersei struggled, screamed. Jaime went quietly. Joffrey cried. Tommen and Myrcella were too young to understand. When they were gone, Robert turned to Jon. "You, boy, Aegon, whatever your name is, you claim the throne?" "I claim justice," Jon said. "For my family, for the innocents the Lannisters murdered, for the realm they've poisoned with their lies." "That's not an answer." "Then yes, I claim the throne. By right of blood, by right of birth, I am Rhaegar's son, the rightful heir." Furious, but he didn't attack, didn't rage. He looked at Ned. "You knew this day would come. You've been preparing for it." "Yes. And you, Arthur, you've been training him. For 15 years. "Yes," Arthur said. "To do what? To kill me? To take my throne? To be worthy of it," Arthur said. "Whether you sit it or he does, the realm needs good men, strong men. Just men. That's what I've been forging. Not a weapon. A king. Robert laughed, bitter, broken. A king, the son of the man I killed, the son of the woman I loved. And you expect me to just hand him the throne? No, Jon said. I expect you to do what's right. Joffrey is a bastard. He has no claim. Tommen and Myrcella are the same. Your line ends with you. And when you die, the realm will tear itself apart unless there's a clear successor. I'm offering to be that successor. Not now, not today, but when the time comes. Robert stared at Jon, saw Lyanna in his eyes, and something else. Strength. Conviction. The boy wasn't afraid, wasn't begging. He was stating facts. And if I refuse? Robert asked. Then the realm burns, Jon said simply. The Lannisters will fight to keep power. The Baratheons will fight for succession. Stannis, Renly, every lord with an army will see an opportunity. And the small folk will die in the chaos. Is that what you want? Is that the legacy you want to leave? Robert was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I need time to think, to decide. He looked at Ned. Keep the boy here, under guard. And Arthur, you stay too. We'll hold a trial for the Lannisters, for the treason, and we'll decide what happens next. Ned nodded. As you command, Your Grace. Robert left. The hall emptied slowly. Stark guards remained, watching Jon and Arthur. Barristan Selmy approached. He looked at Arthur. I thought you were dead, Barristan said quietly. I was, in a way. You should have told me. I would have helped. No, you wouldn't have. You served the king. Robert was your king. You would have told him the truth. Barristan was quiet. Then he said, Maybe. But Arthur, what you've done, what you're trying to do, it could destroy the realm. The realm is already broken, Arthur said. We're just trying to fix it before it's too late. Barristan looked at Jon. You really think he's ready to be king? I know he is. Saw the way he stood. The confidence, the control. He has your discipline. I can see it. And Oberyn's ruthlessness, Jon said. Barristan's eyes narrowed. Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper. He's been training me too. For 5 years, and he'll be here soon. To demand justice for his sister. Justice. Or revenge? Both, Jon said. The dungeons, that night. Cersei sat in a cell, alone, furious. Jaime was in the cell next to hers. They couldn't see each other, couldn't speak. Stark guards stood watch, silent. Tyrion Lannister appeared. He walked past the guards. They let him through. He stopped at Cersei's cell. Sister, you've made quite a mess. Get me out of here, Cersei hissed. I can't. And even if I could, I wouldn't. You've committed treason, incest, fraud. You've produced 3 bastards and called them heirs. There's no saving you. Tywin will come. He'll bring the Lannister armies. He'll crush the Starks and rescue us. Tywin is 3 weeks away. By the time he arrives, Robert will have held the trial, and you'll be dead. Cersei's face twisted. You're enjoying this? No, Tyrion said quietly. I'm mourning for what you've destroyed, for the family name you've dragged through the mud, for the children you've doomed. He looked at Jaime's cell. Brother, can you hear me? Yes, Jaime's voice came back. Was it worth it? The secret trysts? The years of lies? The children? Jaime didn't answer. Tyrion sighed. I didn't think so. He turned to leave. Tyrion, Cersei called, Please, help us. I can't help you. No one can. You've lost. And Tyrion Lannister doesn't back losing causes. He left. Winterfell. Ned's solar. The same night, Ned sat with Jon and Arthur. The 3 of them alone. Robert will hold the trial tomorrow, Ned said. He'll demand proof of the incest. Proof of Jon's parentage. We need to provide both. The proof of incest is simple, Arthur said. Every one of Robert's bastards has black hair. Cersei's children don't. That's genetic proof. And my parentage? Jon asked. Howland Reed is riding from Greywater Watch, Ned said. He'll arrive tomorrow. He was at the Tower of Joy. He saw Lyanna give birth. He heard her name Aegon, and he witnessed Rhaegar and Lyanna's marriage. His testimony will confirm everything. He'll have to. Howland has no reason to lie. And with Arthur's testimony, with mine, the truth will be undeniable. Jon stood, walked to the window. And after the trial, what then? That depends on Robert, Ned said. He could execute you, declare you a traitor and end the Targaryen line permanently. Or he could acknowledge you, let you live, even name you heir. I don't know which he'll choose. He loved Lyanna, Jon said quietly. He started a war for her, killed my father for her, and now he finds out she had Rhaegar's son, that I exist. How do you think he feels? He sees you, and he sees her, the woman he loved. But he also sees Rhaegar, the man he hated. You're both of them, and that makes you impossible for him to categorize. Robert's not the only one we need to convince. The realm needs to accept you, the lords, the small folk, and that means you need to prove yourself, not with words, with action. The trial by combat, Jon said. Yes, Oberyn will arrive tomorrow. He'll demand justice for Elia. He'll name you as his champion, and you'll face Rhaegar Clegane, the Mountain, the man who murdered your half-siblings. If you kill him, the realm will see what you are, a warrior, a Targaryen who can fight, who can win, who deserves the throne. Jon's hands clenched. I've been preparing for this moment for 5 years. Since the day Oberyn showed me what the Lannisters did to Elia's children. Are you ready? Ned asked. Yes. A knock on the door. A guard entered. My lord, there's a man at the gates. He says his name is Oberyn Martell. He demands to speak with King Robert. Ned and Arthur exchanged glances. Let him in, Ned said. Winterfell, the great hall. The next morning, Oberyn Martell stood before Robert Baratheon. The Red Viper hadn't bothered with disguise. He wore Dornish silks. His spear was strapped to his back. His eyes burned with controlled fury. Your Grace, Oberyn said, I am Oberyn Martell, Prince of Dorne, and I've come to demand justice. Robert looked at him. Justice for what? For my sister, Elia Martell, Princess of Dorne, wife of Rhaegar Targaryen, murdered by Lannister dogs 15 years ago. The hall was silent. Everyone knew the story. Everyone knew what happened to Elia. Elia died during the sack of King's Landing, Robert said carefully. It was war. Terrible things happen in war. Terrible things, Oberyn repeated. Is that what you call rape and murder? Is that what you call smashing a baby's skull against a wall? Stabbing a 3-year-old child 50 times? Those weren't casualties of war. They were atrocities. Ordered by Tywin Lannister, carried out by Rhaegar Clegane and Amory Lorch. Robert's jaw tightened. What do you want? I want trial by combat. I accuse Rhaegar Clegane of murder, of rape, of crimes against the innocent, and I demand he answer for them. I'll wait. Robert looked at Ned. Ned nodded slightly. This was part of the plan. Fine, Robert said. I'll send for Rhaegar Clegane. He'll come to Winterfell, and you'll have your trial by combat. Who will be your champion? I'll name my champion when the time comes, Oberyn said. He looked at Jon, smiled. But I promise you, Your Grace, he'll be someone the realm won't forget. Robert frowned, looked at Jon, saw something pass between Jon and Oberyn. You're part of this, part of whatever Ned and Arthur have been planning. I am, Oberyn said. For 15 years, I've been preparing for this moment, and now it's here. Robert stood. Then we wait. I've sent a raven to Casterly Rock. Rhaegar will come, and when he does, we'll have your trial. And the trial for the Lannisters. And the trial for this boy who claims to be a king? He pointed at Jon. Everything will be decided, one way or another. 3 weeks later, Winterfell courtyard. Rhaegar Clegane arrived with 50 Lannister men. The mountain was exactly as the stories described. 8 feet tall, broad as a bull, wearing full plate armor. His face was brutal, scarred, with eyes like a dead animal. The courtyard had been cleared, a fighting circle marked in the dirt. Stands built for the lords and ladies to watch. Robert sat in the center, in a makeshift throne. Ned beside him, the entire court assembled. Oberyn stood in the circle, spear in hand. He looked small compared to the mountain, but he wasn't afraid. Rhaegar Clegane, Oberyn called out, you stand accused of murder, of the rape and murder of Elia Martell, of the murder of her children, Rhaenys and Aegon Targaryen. How do you answer? Let the gods decide your guilt. Robert stood. Rhaegar Clegane, you are accused. Do you accept trial by combat? I do, Rhaegar said, and I name myself as champion. And you, Oberyn Martell, who is your champion? Oberyn smiled. I name Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name, son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, rightful heir to the Iron Throne. The crowd gasped. Jon stepped into the circle. He wore light leather armor, carried viper's fang. The Valyrian steel spearhead gleamed in the sunlight. Gregor looked at Jon, laughed. "A boy? You send a boy to fight me?" "I send a Targaryen," Oberyn said, "the last dragon, and he's going to kill you." Robert stood. "This is madness. The boy will die." "Then let him die," Oberyn said. "But give him the chance to fight, to prove himself, to show the realm what he is." Robert looked at Ned. Ned's face was neutral, but his eyes said everything. Let Jon fight. Let him prove himself. Or let him die trying. "Fine," Robert said. "Let the trial begin." Gregor drew his greatsword, 6 feet of steel. He swung it one-handed. The blade whistled through the air. Jon gripped Viper's fang, remembered everything. Arthur's discipline, Oberyn's lethality, 5 years of training, 5 years of preparation. This was the moment. The fight began. Gregor charged, massive, unstoppable. His sword came down like a falling tree. Jon dodged. The blade hit the ground where he'd been standing. Dirt exploded. Jon thrust with the spear, aimed for the gap under Gregor's arm. The Valyrian steel pierced the chainmail, drew blood. Not deep, but enough. Gregor roared. Swung again. Jon rolled, came up behind him. Thrust at the back of Gregor's knee. The spear tip slipped between the plates, cut the tendon. Gregor stumbled. The crowd was silent, watching. The mountain was bleeding, slowing. Jon didn't give him time to recover. He moved like water, like Oberyn taught him, fast, precise targeting weak points. The elbow joint, the neck gap, the eye slit. Gregor tried to grab the spear. Jon pulled back, spun, struck Gregor's hand. The gauntlet shattered, bones broke. Gregor dropped his sword, fell to one knee. Blood poured from a dozen wounds. The poison Oberyn had taught Jon to use was working. Manticore venom, coating the Valyrian steel spearhead. Paralyzing, killing slowly. Jon walked around Gregor. The mountain tried to stand, couldn't. His legs wouldn't obey. "Do you know who I am?" Jon asked quietly. Gregor's eyes were wide. Panicked, he couldn't speak. The poison had reached his throat. "I'm Aegon Targaryen, brother to the children you murdered. Rhaenys, Aegon, you killed them, slowly, painfully, and now you'll die the same way." Jon drove the spear through Gregor's eye. The Valyrian steel punched through the skull, into the brain. Gregor Clegane, the mountain that rides, fell forward, dead. Silence. Then the crowd erupted. Cheers, shouts. The boy had killed the mountain. A 16-year-old had beaten the most feared warrior in Westeros. Jon pulled the spear free, looked at Robert. Robert stood, walked into the circle, looked at Gregor's body, then at Jon. "You fight well," Robert said quietly. "I was taught by the best," Jon replied. "Arthur Dayne, Oberyn Martell. And Ned says you've been training since you were 8 years old." "Yes." Robert looked at Jon. Really looked. "You have her eyes. Lyanna's eyes, I know. And his skill. Rhaegar was a great warrior. You're better. I had better teachers." Robert laughed, bitter. "You're not what I expected. I thought you'd be weak, soft, a prince raised in hiding. But you're not. You're a fighter, a killer." "I'm what the realm made me." Robert was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "The Lannisters are finished. Cersei and Jaime will be executed for treason. Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella will be disinherited, sent away. The Lannister line is broken." "And me?" Jon asked. "You're Lyanna's son. I can't kill you. I won't kill you. But I can't give you the throne, not yet. Not while I live. I'm not asking you to." Robert frowned. "Then what do you want?" "I want justice for my family. I want the Lannisters punished. I want Dorne to have peace. And I want the realm to know the truth, that I exist, that the Targaryen line survives. That's all. And when I die, what then?" "Then we'll see," Jon said. "Maybe the realm will want me. Maybe they'll want someone else. But at least they'll have a choice. You're wiser than I expected. More patient. Maybe you'll make a good king someday." "Maybe," Jon said. Robert turned to the crowd. "The trial is over. Gregor Clegane is dead. Justice is served. And this boy, Aegon Targaryen, has proven himself in combat. He lives, under my protection, and anyone who tries to harm him will answer to me." The crowd cheered. Oberyn approached Jon. "You did well, better than I expected. You taught me well. Now you need to win the realm." "How?" "By being what they need," Arthur said. "A just king, a strong king, a king who keeps his promises." Jon looked at Viper's Fang, at the blood on the Valyrian steel, at the body of Rhaegar Clegane lying in the dirt. "I'll try," Jon said. Winterfell. The great hall, that night. Cersei and Jaime were brought before Robert. In chains, the entire court watched. "Cersei Lannister," Robert said, "you are guilty of treason, of incest, of fraud. The sentence is death. I regret nothing. I did what was necessary for my children, for my family. Your children are bastards. They have no claim, and your family is destroyed." Robert looked at Jaime. "Jaime Lannister, you are guilty of treason, of breaking your vows as a king's guard, of fathering bastards and calling them heirs. The sentence is death." Jaime said nothing, just looked at Cersei, at the woman he'd loved, the woman who'd destroyed everything. "Do you have any last words?" Robert asked. "Yes," Jaime said. "I'm sorry for everything, for the lies, for the betrayal, for the children. I thought I was protecting them, but I was only destroying them." Robert nodded. "At least you understand." Ned stood. "Your Grace, if I may. Jaime Lannister saved King's Landing once. When Aerys tried to burn the city with wildfire, Jaime killed him, stopped the Mad King. That deed should count for something. What are you suggesting? Send him to the Night's Watch. Let him serve the realm. Let him redeem himself." Robert considered. Then he said, "Fine. Jaime Lannister, I sentence you to the Night's Watch. You will take the black, serve for the rest of your life, and never speak of what happened here." Jaime nodded. "Thank you." Beheaded in Winterfell's courtyard, Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella were sent to Casterly Rock, stripped of their royal titles, made wards of the faith. The Lannister line was broken. Winterfell, 1 week later. Robert was leaving, returning to King's Landing. He stood with Ned in the courtyard. "I'm keeping you as hand," Robert said. "I need someone I can trust, someone who'll tell me the truth, even after I lied to you for 15 years. Especially after that, you lied to protect an innocent child. That takes courage and honor. Don't lose that, Ned." "I won't." Robert looked at Jon. The boy was standing with Arthur and Oberyn, training even now, always training. "Watch him," Robert said. "Make sure he stays on the right path. Because Ned, if that boy ever comes for my throne, if he ever decides to take it by force, I'll have to stop him. And I don't want to kill Lyanna's son. Not while you live. And after the realm will decide. Just like Jon said." Robert nodded. "Then we'll see. Maybe the realm will choose a Targaryen king. Maybe they'll choose someone else, but at least they'll have the choice." Robert rode out of Winterfell that afternoon, headed south, back to King's Landing, back to the throne he'd won through rebellion. But the realm had changed. The Lannisters were broken. A Targaryen heir lived, and the future was uncertain. Winterfell, Jon's chambers. That night, Jon sat with Arthur and Oberyn, the 3 men who'd shaped him, who'd forged him into a weapon. "What now?" Jon asked. "Now you wait," Arthur said. "You've proven yourself in combat. The realm knows you exist, but you're not ready to rule. Not yet." "When will I be ready? When you understand that being a king isn't about fighting," Arthur said. "It's about sacrifice, about making impossible choices, about carrying burdens no one else can bear." "And how do I learn that?" "By living," Oberyn said. "By experiencing the world, by making mistakes and learning from them. You're 16, you have time." Jon looked at Viper's Fang, at the spear that had killed Rhaegar Clegane, at the weapon that had proven him worthy. "I killed a man today," Jon said quietly, "in front of thousands, and I felt nothing, no guilt, no remorse, just satisfaction. Is that wrong?" "No," Oberyn said. "Rhaegar Clegane deserved to die. He murdered children, raped women, terrorized the innocent. Killing him was justice. What if I make a mistake? Then you'll carry that weight," Arthur said. "Just like every king before you. Just like every man who's ever held power. The difference is whether you learn from it, whether you become better, or whether you become another mad king." Jon was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I won't become my grandfather. I won't let madness take me." "Good," Arthur said, "because the realm needs you. Not now, but someday, and when that day comes, you need to be ready." "I will be," Jon said. Arthur and Oberyn stood, walked to the door. "Where will you go?" Jon asked. "Back to Dorne," Oberyn said, "to tell my family that Elia's death has been avenged, that Gregor Clegane is dead, that justice was served." "And you?" Jon asked Arthur. "I stay here with you. I'm your sworn shield, your Kingsguard, and I'll remain at your side until you sit the throne, or until I die, whichever comes first. You've already given 15 years, you've already sacrificed everything, and I'd do it again," Arthur said, "because you're worth it. You're everything I hoped you'd be. Everything Rhaegar would have wanted, and I'm proud to serve you." Jon stood, embraced Arthur. Then Oberyn. "Thank you," Jon said, "for everything, for training me, for protecting me, for making me who I am. You made yourself," Arthur said. "We just showed you the way." They left. Jon sat alone, looked out the window at Winterfell, at the north, at the realm that would someday be his. He thought about his mother, Lyanna Stark, the woman who'd died giving birth to him, who'd made Ned promise to protect him. He thought about his father, Rhaegar Targaryen, the prince who'd tried to save the realm and died for it. And he thought about the future, about the throne, about the responsibility. He was 16 years old. He'd killed the Mountain. He'd exposed the Lannisters. He'd proven himself worthy, but the real test was still to come. Because being a warrior was easy, being a king was hard. And Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, the boy raised by legends, was about to learn just how hard. Epilogue. King's Landing, 5 years later, 303 AC. Robert Baratheon died hunting. A boar gored him, just like in the books, just like it was always meant to happen. The realm fractured, Stannis Baratheon claimed the throne. The Tyrells backed Renly. The Lannisters were broken but still dangerous. And from the north, Jon Snow rode south. With Ned Stark, with Arthur Dayne, with Oberyn Martell, with an army of Northmen and Dornishmen and lords who'd sworn to support the Targaryen heir, the realm needed a king. And Jon was ready. He was 21 now, battle-tested, wise beyond his years. He'd spent 5 years learning statecraft from Ned, combat from Arthur, politics from Oberyn, and when he reached King's Landing, when he stood before the Iron Throne, the realm bent the knee, not because he conquered them, not because he burned them with dragons, but because he'd proven himself, because he was just, because he was strong, because he was everything a king should be. Arthur Dayne stood beside him in white armor, Lord Commander of his Kingsguard. Oberyn Martell stood in Dornish silks. Hand of the King, Ned Stark returned to Winterfell, Warden of the North. His duty fulfilled, and Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name, sat the Iron Throne. The boy raised by legends became the king who earned his throne. Not through fire and blood, through justice and strength, through 15 years of preparation, through the sacrifice of 3 men who'd sworn to forge a king. And the realm was better for it. Let us know what you'd like to see next. The end.